Taiwan's bone marrow registry was established in 1993 by the Tzu Chi Foundation at the request of the then Department of Health. To date, the database boasts blood test results of over 400,000 potential donors, making it the second largest bone marrow registry for ethnic Chinese. We now take you back to see how it all started.
In the past, a cancer diagnosis was as good as a death sentence, especially for those suffering from leukemia.
Back then, cancer patients had to undergo chemotherapy, which was very costly. If they were unlucky, they would only have 3 to 6 more months to live. If they were lucky, they would get about a year. Few were actually cured.
It wasn't until the 1970s that bone marrow transplantation became a new cure for leukemia patients. However,
back in Qing Dynasty, people believed having your photos taken means your soul will be stolen. It was the same in the 40s when nobody wanted to donate their blood. So in the 80s, bone marrow donation faced the same problem.
Because it is bone marrow extraction, it's just like getting an epidural during delivery. Some people say there are side effects.
Due to the public's misunderstanding and lack of proper regulations, leukemia patients had nowhere to turn to.
According to the organ donation and transplant bylaw, only those up to the third degree of kinship to the patient may make a donation.
In 1992, a Taiwanese student in the United States, Wen Wenling, came to see Dr. Chen about her leukemia, which inadvertently led to the establishment of Taiwan's bone marrow registry.
Every year, numerous people develop this kind of disease. Now, countries with a bone marrow registry will share their database with one another. So if we have our own registry, all Chinese people all over the world will benefit.
Due to Wen's plea, the Legislative Yuan quickly made amendments to the organ donation and transplant bylaw and allowed the donation of bone marrow between unrelated people. By October of 1993, with the support of the medical community and Taiwan's government, the Tzu Chi Foundation established a bone marrow registry.
The government lacked the funding and people to run the project, and everyone agreed that Tzu Chi was the most capable of making it happen. First, it was a charity. Second, medicine was a part of its missions. In fact, this was related to all of Tzu Chi's missions.
Though one did eventually find a matching donor through the registry in Hong Kong, she would later succumb to her illness. However, the Tzu Chi registry continues on.
Though Asians tend to be more compassionate, we are more conservative as well. When it all first began, there were a lot of preparation and training to be done.
We are very grateful to everyone that participated in our bone marrow drive. At the same time, it is hoped that they came with the determination to follow through with the donation when a match is found later.
To build up the registry, Tzu Chi volunteers held one bone marrow drive after another. 6 months later, the first donation between non-family members would take place.
At the time, it wasn't that complicated for me. I just thought, what if I met a child with an illness or the parent of that child? I surely would want someone to help me.
Unfortunately, the recipient of the transplant, Wei Zhiyang, still passed on due to poor health.
Life is about moving forward while cherishing the beautiful memories as they are created. This is why I think we should establish the bone marrow registry so patients and their families have a second chance at life.
Back in the 90s, bone marrow donation was an unfamiliar term to most Taiwanese. Now, some 20 years later, over 400,000 people have signed up to be a donor. Built with the compassion of the donors, the registry has brought hope to all those suffering from blood disorders.
Though our ties with Africans may be quite remote, a match can still be found. There were matches in Mongolia and Harbin as well, not mentioning those in Taiwan. Nothing is impossible, right? So can we stop here? No, we can't. Since we started this, it is now our responsibility.